Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am the Blevins for heroesofartifact.com, and I am here today bringing you an interview with a closed beta player, and that is the one and only Gaara. Welcome, man. Thank
Yo,
you for
yo,
coming on.
yo.
I'm super excited to talk to you today for a couple of reasons. Way back in the day, I used to do a Hearthstone podcast long, long time ago, and you were one of the OG Hearthstone players. I remember you were around way back. This is like 2015, 2014, 2015 times you were back on Tempo Storm. So super excited to finally get to talk to you.
I'm actually the very first player for Tempo Stone,
Yeah.
the very first signed player.
hmm
So I'm in the org since the very beginning.
Yeah. I remember we were covering there was the like the animated show that they did for a little bit. I remember we covered that. I liked that. I thought it was cool. It was funny because we knew
People
we.
were telling me that my acting is pretty good, so
Yeah,
I like doing it.
it was such a cool concept, but maybe that's a conversation for another time. Um, so obviously you are a Hearthstone pro for Tempo Storm. I just want to kind of get a little bit more on your background. What is your like gaming or esports like origin story? How did you get into it?
Well, I started playing games basically since I'm able to play video games. I
hmm
think I started with a Game Boy when I was 6 years old. I got into that and yeah, played like basically everything that you could play from the beginning. And as soon as I got a PC,
hmm
I played like Warcraft 2, then Warcraft 3, and then World of Warcraft. And this is actually the time around when esports was created,
hmm
during the times of CS 1.6 and StarCraft.
hmm
And but back then esports was like more like a hobby.
hmm
You couldn't really live from it or
Right.
make a living. And my very first esports tournament that I traveled to was in 2006, which is now also like 12 years ago.
hmm
And I was like a semi-professional WoW player because professional means you make a living from it, but nobody made a living
Yeah.
from it, even like the best player in the
hmm
world. So you can't really call it like professional. But yeah, this is when I went to the first esports event and met like famous people that
hmm
you only saw from like streams and YouTube and
hmm
Warcraft movies. Back in the days, there was like no Twitch, so
Right.
not really streams, but more like YouTube and
hmm
videos. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Competed there. I made myself a name as like the best resto shaman player in the world.
hmm
When it was like during the World of Warcraft peak, I was like highest ranked shaman player in the world
hmm
on the leaderboards, and that's how I got known, like really known. But yeah, then Blizzard decided to sell their company to Activision, which was 2008, and then Blizzard stopped caring about WoW PvP at
hmm
all, so the balance was really bad.
hmm
And then all the best players in World of Warcraft, and Europe was considered the strongest region.
hmm
And all the best players, I mean, I was talking to them all the time because we also played together. They quit the game just because, like, if the company is not supporting what you do,
hmm
like, what you're gonna do, then you're like idling FK for like 3 to 4 years,
hmm
hoping they will do something. You don't just immediately quit, but eventually you're just gonna move on because yeah, you have to,
hmm
even though it's super sad and everyone just remembers WoW. The original WoW is like
hmm
the best game ever,
hmm
and this is why you still see people to this day wanting to play classic WoW, even though it was like released in 2004. It's crazy how good WoW
hmm
is. Like it's if you're a gamer nowadays and you missed like classic WoW, just the experience or the first expansion, Burning Crusade, it's like you can't even explain that to someone. That
hmm
it's that as a gamer, it's like that's just that forms you. Like
Yeah.
it's just so awesome. And so I had to quit that. And 2 years there was like I was trying to get into MOBAs. I was playing like with people that are kind of known nowadays, like No Tail. Like I know them from
hmm
Hon
Oh,
and
okay.
like Alliance
Yes,
and
Heroes of New Earth. Yes.
Horn was like the best mobile by far, like
hmm
mechanically and
hmm
and graphic wise. But S2 Games, the company behind it, was apparently so bad at advertising the game
hmm
and getting a bigger audience and making money and making like bigger esports tournaments and whatever, that
hmm
eventually all the best Horn players had to quit and move to Dota because Valve later made like Dota 2.
hmm
And it was like like objectively a worse game than Hon. Uh, but you had like these gigantic prize pools
Hmm.
and the support by Valve that all the best Hon players moved to Dota, and
Hmm.
eventually a lot of them even became the best Dota players
Hmm.
and won even TI with like EG for instance. And it's so cool to follow that. Like I follow like all esports
Hmm.
because for me it's like very fun. And then Hearthstone came out around 2014. It was open like closed beta in 2013. In the end, this
Hmm.
is where like Wreckful Miss Lethal and BlizzCon and all these kind of stories. And I didn't get a key for Hearthstone, so for the first 2 or 3 months I couldn't play Hearthstone.
Hmm.
But I really liked card games. I always played card games. I played Pokemon TCG, Yu-Gi-Oh TCG, and
Hmm.
a little bit of Magic. And then Hearthstone was like I was like a Blizzard fanboy from back in the days.
Hmm.
And Hearthstone originated from Warcraft with the lore
Hmm.
and everything. So I tried it out. I really liked it, and yeah, I became like the best player very like after a month. And I went to the first DreamHack. Reynard wanted to make a team, and like I didn't have like a lot of money back then, and Renat decided to fly me out to the first DreamHack, and I ended up winning the first Hearthstone DreamHack,
Hmm.
which was like the biggest tournament.
Hmm.
And this is how my Hearthstone career started, and then I was like a pro player since then, and a streamer and content
Hmm.
creator, and to this day basically.
Yeah, you are what I would call a grinder. Like you are always on. You are like I don't know how many hours a week are you streaming usually?
A lot, at least 40 hours.
Hmm.
Like so I used to stream like 200 plus hours every month consistently every
Hmm.
month. So like I wasn't on vacation for like 5 years. So
Yeah, it's crazy. You
then
yeah.
I used to stream every single day. So
Hmm. Yeah,
just a lot.
yeah. I was surprised. I was surprised you like finally started taking days off. I'm like, that is probably good for your health and mental health, if nothing else.
It's still some person outside from my family, my cousin actually
Hmm.
said to me that you have to do it.
Hmm.
Long term wise, it's good.
Yeah.
And it was such a smart advice because I know like a lot of the biggest streamers, like Soda Poppin, for instance, and stuff. And I see a lot of them like being depressed because these people stream inhuman amounts of hours.
Hmm.
They stream every single day for like 10 hours, 16 hours
Hmm.
every day. And when I compare this to myself, how stressful it is to stream 8 hours every single day,
Hmm.
and these people stream for like 16 hours, sometimes 24 hours. It really affects you psychologically, and you
Hmm.
see them being depressed even though they're like super rich.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, it's like you really have to do everything smart.
Hmm.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely a smart decision, I think, at least. So I don't want to talk too much more about Hearthstone, but they recently mentioned that the tournament mode, the in-game tournament mode that they talked about a year ago or so, they've been kind of hinting for quite some time. I know as a player, I've been asking for it since 2014. They said, we're not going to do it anymore. How big of an impact is that for you as a Hearthstone player and a Hearthstone content creator?
I kind of gave up like a long time ago, I feel like, because
Hmm.
I made so much content. I don't think anyone made more content than me over the 4 years. I made
Hmm.
consistently weekly videos
Hmm.
and now daily videos for 2 years for like since the beginning. I made like I think as I looked at 700 videos or so,
Hmm.
and for like 2 years, I made very in-depth videos about what is wrong about the game, what has to be improved in the game,
Hmm.
what kind of balance changes we need, and that's all you can do. Like you give so much feedback. I traveled to the headquarters of Blizzard,
Hmm.
and they just didn't seem to care. Like one of the like life coach had also like a similar experience. My biggest like mind shift was when they invited like 100 pro players, at that point the best players in the world,
Hmm.
to the Blizzard headquarters, and the game balance was really bad.
Hmm.
Like we had really like these Yoxarons for the people, I don't
Hmm.
know if they that are not following Hearthstone, but we had like Tasca Totamega at that point in
Hmm.
Yoxaron, and like really really bad cards for competitive Hearthstone, and we had
Four
like
mana
100
seven
pro
sevens.
players. Yes, we were all flown out by Blizzard
Hmm.
to the headquarters, and they didn't ask us anything, like any feedback,
Really?
nothing, Nothing. They didn't. They gave us like goodie bags and showed us like some new cards that they showed to the public one day later. Anyways, it was just kind of like a nice gesture, like
Mm,
giving back to the community or something. But we didn't really care about that. We just
yeah.
wanted to like make the game better, and they didn't care. And it was like, since then, like I really feel like a lot of players or streamers as well
Hmm.
that I know have changed their views, how they look at the game.
Hmm.
Is like they're like not really depressed per se, but more like they gave up
Yeah.
innerly. Like it's like, man, Blizzard will not change anything anyway. It's like nobody believes anymore.
Hmm.
Everyone lost hope. It's like, oh, another bad announcement by Blizzard. They stopped working on the tournament mode. I mean, we're waiting for it for 4 years, and
Yeah.
then, oh, yeah, I guess we will never get it. Cool. That's basically what I said. Like,
Hmm.
stop working on it means we will not get it. So another
Yeah.
step back.
Yeah. Definitely. I think if they had tournament mode back in even in like 2015, like after the game came out, I think at least my personal involvement in the game may be different. I think I would have put a lot more stock into it, but it just was not meant to be. I don't think, for me at least.
The,
So yeah.
the problem is with Blizzard is like they're not deciding on in which direction they want to go with the game. Like if you want to go into like a competitive, balanced direction, make like all these tournaments. I mean,
Hmm.
they're focusing on this whole world championship and this
Hmm.
whole way how to get to the world championship. And at the same time, they don't care about game balance and
Hmm.
card balance.
Yep.
And they focus on like a more casual audience
Hmm.
and to make the game more fun.
Hmm.
But then focus on the game being more fun. Like they do like a mishmash. They can't decide, and they're trying to do everything at the same time, and it's clearly not working out, in my opinion.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say about it is with the killing of tournament mode, it seems like they're taking a, a a concerted effort to make it like a mobile game and not a competitive like esport game. That's at least how I feel. So, but that's okay because there are greener pastures over here with Artifact. So the first question I wanted to ask you about Artifact is: do you think that it will be able to compete with Hearthstone as an online card game? Do you think it's going to be able to live up to the popularity of Hearthstone that Hearthstone has?
It's like in terms of player base, I think it's very difficult to compete with any game that is available on mobile. In
Hmm.
terms of numbers,
Hmm.
I don't think that's like physically possible. You also saw that with Fortnite. Fortnite was like huge,
Hmm.
but as soon as they released Fortnite on mobile, it was 10 times bigger.
Hmm.
So now like Fortnite is by far bigger than everything, and I don't think they have plans to release Artifact on mobile.
They said
Uh,
that it would be 2019 is when they were planning on putting it on mobile or on iOS or
wow,
whatever.
because like the way how the game works with the
Hmm.
free lanes and stuff, it seems like so hard to make it possible.
Hmm.
But then absolutely, that's like the only thing that would just in terms of numbers.
Hmm.
Uh, like it's super hard to compete with mobile. It's impossible.
Yeah.
But yeah, then absolutely they can compete with
Yeah,
Hearthstone.
I mean, and at worst, I know Suns fan was talking about how he was playing it on his phone now in closed beta with Steam Link because you can like I don't know exactly how it works, but you can like Steam Link any game on Steam to a mobile device with the Steam Link app. It's like you could technically play it if you have closed beta right now on your phone or on your tablet or something. He said it needed some UI updates, a few things, but he said it worked surprisingly well right now, like today on mobile. So
That's sick.
yeah, that when he said
That's
that, I was
actually
like, because I was wondering the same thing. I'm like, there's already so much. I feel like I can't fit Artifact on my on one screen, let alone on a phone. But he said it worked surprisingly well, and that's without any sort of like mobile optimizations that they could do. So
that's cool.
yeah, that's very exciting. Um, so obviously, being a competitive Hearthstone player and just in esports in general, there's depending on the esport, there can be a various level of the competitive scene can look very different. So you take a look at Overwatch League. Obviously, that looks almost nothing like what Hearthstone competitive looks like. What in your ideal world as a pro artifact player? what would the tournament scene or the competitive scene look like for you?
Um, that Valve allows third-party organizations to organize tournaments. I think this is very important because that's not the case with Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was one of the number one things that kind of killed Hearthstone in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the game balance is bad or the game feels bad, you had like a lot of fun tournaments, quote unquote fun tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had wire game tournaments, you
Mm-hmm.
had like tournaments in a like freaking castle, the Dracula castle, and the production is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a lot of like third party productions that do very entertaining tournaments to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, I don't know if you know, Seed Story Cup.
Yep.
There's like Take TV,
Mm-hmm.
and this is always a great event. And that is like the only left third-party tournament we have in Hearthstone
Mm-hmm.
for like 2 years. It's only the World Championship. Okay, we have the Chinese tournaments because how the contracts work there with Blizzard are very different.
Mm-hmm.
China is always different, but in Europe you have only like the official Hearthstone HCT tour stops,
Mm-hmm.
and you have Take TV, nothing else. So in an optimal world, we have. So whoever wants to make a tournament is allowed to make a tournament. Doesn't have to buy a stupid license with like stupid rules.
Yeah.
So if I wanna host a tournament, I'm rich. I wanna make like $100,000 artifact tournament just because I want to support the game and everything. That I'm allowed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people don't know that how restricted you are most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're free to do that. That the company cares about pro player feedback. I don't know if this is part of your question,
It's fine. Go ahead.
but I think this is very important that you feel like listened to. And if something is obviously broken, and a lot of pro players have discovered it, and it's like being shown in tournament play that something is too strong, way too strong, and it really ruins the fun and the competitive aspect of it, that the company behind it reacts to it relatively fast. In Hearthstone, like we had situations where they didn't do anything for like 9 months. I think 9 months was the longest period where we had something that completely ruined competitive Hearthstone, and nothing was done about it for 9 months. There was like, I think, the longest period of time. Like balance patches have to come way faster. Like just care. Like I think Valve has to care, but they have shown it in the other games that they do care. So I was 0% worried. Also, like behind the scenes, I know that they do care about player feedback, which is super amazing. And like for me as a player who played Blizzard games for like 20 years, that the company cares about me as a player or pro player, this is just such a new experience. I have never experienced that before, and this is so amazing. And what else? Like the pro scene is like that skill matters, of course. I don't know. This is like, I don't know if you're asking about just like organization aspect of it or the game itself, but yeah, that skill matters is important in a for a game to be like esports relevant. I don't want
Yeah.
like people to watch two top players play against each other and like RNG decides the winner most of the time, or like someone is doing a bunch of misplays and the opponent is playing perfect, and the person who does a bunch of misplays just wins because of some crazy card, not
Right.
just RNG, just some OP card or whatever. So, and if you can respect, appreciate skill, this is why this the biggest esports are like the biggest, because you really respect the top players. There's like such a huge respect, and you can learn something from them. Skill matters, and all these outside factors, which is also super relevant, like the organization aspect of it. And yeah, it's just like a bunch of things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the one thing that, from my personal experience back in the day in Hearthstone, there was a tournament series that was put on by, I believe it was NVIDIA. It was like this big NVIDIA. It was like when the NVIDIA Shield was just coming out. It was this big NVIDIA Shield tournament for Hearthstone. I think this might have even been before. This was like one of the first
I really
open
remember
tournaments.
that.
Yeah, this was one of the first open tournaments because before that it was mostly just invitationals, and it was mostly just invitational tournaments. And I was playing in this tournament, and it was a weekly tournament. You play week to week, and oh, I'm losing focus. Come on, camera. There we go. So I'm playing this tournament, and it's like 10 weeks or something, and I end up in the Swiss going 10-0 in the Swiss. I was ranked like fifth in the world or something on tiebreakers, and at the beginning of the tournament, they said, "Oh, if you make it to the top 8 after the 10 rounds, you win like X thousand dollars, and you get like a free Nvidia shield and all this stuff." I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome." Well, they had like 10 times the number of players that they originally thought they were going to do. So they after the 10th round, they're like, so um we're not going to do what we said we did, because if we did, we'd end up paying like $3 million out, because there were 27 people at 7-0, because there wasn't enough rounds for the like 10,000 people that entered. So like, we're instead going to put you in another tournament, a single elimination tournament after that, with 128 people. So I ended up going 10 weeks undefeated to be put into a 128 person single elimination tournament and then just lose in the first round. Got nothing. So that sort of, and like, not only that, so that in and of itself was a bad experience, but the other thing is that with Hearthstone tournaments, it boggles my mind. It blows my mind that if I want to play in a Hearthstone tournament, I have to do all of this stuff outside of the game. I have to add my opponent on BattleNet. I have to, like, if it's an online tournament, I have to like take a screenshot to make sure that I can prove that I won, because if my opponent contests it, like, how is this still part
And
of the game?
and you have to register to like 5 different websites because
Yeah.
every tournament is used on like either Battlefy or
Yeah.
Esgar or like freaking Smash.gg, or you have to make an account on all these websites.
Yeah. A complete lunacy, because like, I would get that. That makes sense if this was like, I don't
And
know.
by the way, if you travel, you always have to do like the mobile notification on everything, like because you have to
Yeah.
log in on all these different sites. It's very annoying.
Yeah, that's super annoying. Like, if this was a game that like had just come out, like if it was like a small studio, like, I don't know, like Battle Right or something, like, I would, if I had to do a Battle Right tournament, I'd be okay with doing like Smash GG, because it's probably a small company doing that. This is Blizzard. This is Blizzard, and the game has been out for 4 years. Like, just blows my mind that that's still. If I wanted to play in an artifact or in a Hearthstone tournament today, that I would still have to do that. So I don't know what it meant for you as a pro player and as a competitive player, but for me, them saying that we're going to have in-game tournaments at launch was like one of the major selling points for me. Just absolutely sold it
And
for me.
another thing that is blows my mind is that they changed the tournament system that you have to travel around the world
Hmm.
to, if you want to compete in the world championships,
Hmm.
to get, you have to play in these HCT tour stops,
Hmm.
and they're like so spread around the world. But to be able to compete nowadays as a
Hmm.
European player, you have to go to every single HCT tour stop, and they're like they go from Tokyo to Canada to
Yeah.
like somewhere randomly in Europe.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. But the prize pool that really bothers me, that you if you win one of these tour stops, that you win like 4K
Yeah.
dollars after four
Hmm.
years and it is so expensive to go to these tournaments, and it's so
Hmm.
difficult to get one. And then basically, even if you manage to win one, that's like, yeah, nice, I guess.
Yep.
So
The
basically only the top 3 or 4 players break even
hmm
going to a tournament.
Well, I was a competitive Magic player and know a lot of competitive Magic players for many years, so I'm very familiar with the. You are very happy to just break even going to all these events. I don't know if you uh, paid any attention to the controversy with the Magic the Gathering World Championships that happened
I
last
actually
week.
did.
Okay,
I
you said
follow
you
a
did.
bunch of esports.
Okay, so like the whole Jerry T thing, contesting it.
He refused to play.
Yeah, I that's awesome, because and the stat that really rung true to me in regards to Artifact, because I don't want to talk too much about Magic the Gathering, because I could talk for probably 10 hours on it. The the thing that really rung true to me is that the person who wins the Artifact International, or whatever they're calling it, the $1 million tournament, the person that wins that tournament, or the $1 million for first tournament, the person that wins that tournament is going to have won twice as much as the highest earner in Magic the Gathering lifetime. So the top earner in Magic the Gathering,
And
professional
and
Magic the
how old
Gathering,
is the game now? 30 years or something?
1993 is when it came out. So
So
I think
25.
they just hit, yeah, they just hit 25 this year. Uh, the number one player, number one earner is Paulo Vitor Dama, who maybe not so coincidentally, is also interested in Artifact. He's won like 300 or 400K, maybe 500K lifetime. So the person that wins the Artifact International will have doubled his lifetime earnings. A Pro Tour Hall of Fame player will have doubled that. It blows my mind. So when I win the Artifact International, I'll have won more than anyone.
Yeah, that was also like the very first thing that I heard about Artifact
Hmm.
way before it came out, that they announced the $1 million tournament.
Yep.
Like nobody knows when that's gonna happen, how you qualify, and what format and whatever. But if I look at Hearthstone, because I played Hearthstone for like since the beginning, that's
Hmm.
like the combined prize pool of every single Hearthstone tournament in the
Hmm.
first 2 years,
Hmm.
like including World Championships. That's ridiculous. That's like one tournament, and the game is not even out, and that's very important
Hmm.
for the pro community. It's
Yep.
very important. People mean a lot of like the casuals don't care about this
Right.
too much, right? Like if a pro player wins like 5K or 10K, like who cares? But the player, that's a huge difference.
Hmm.
If you play for 5K or 10K, that alone, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Way more people will go to a 10K tournament than to a 5K tournament. And but like a 1 million tournament, like the amount of competition and try harding and
Hmm.
everything that's gonna happen, it's unimaginable for me. Like when you look at Hearthstone, how people try hard to win those 5K
Hmm.
or 3K, whatever, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But how is it gonna be for 1 million?
Yeah.
It's
I
just
mean, I in the Magic the Gathering world, like people try hard to that. I would argue to a similar level just to win a Pro Tour qualifier to be able to play on the Pro Tour. Like people dedicate their lives. There are people that travel 8, 10 hours to these Pro Tour qualifiers, or at least they did back in the day when that was how it worked. But that's how like. We would go like every other weekend. We would drive 8 hours to go to these tournaments. Like it's insane. So it was a breath of
that's
fresh air.
one thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's like the optimal scenario.
Okay.
My favorite esports that I follow is Super Smash Bros. Melee,
Okay.
because that is like the longest existing esport, I
Mhm.
believe. It's like 16 or 17 years
Mhm.
now, and like StarCraft 1 died, but
Yeah.
this Smash Bros. Melee had its peak in 2016 or so in terms of like viewership and
Mhm.
everything, and that's like 15 years after the release of the game,
Yeah.
with no updates, no patches, nothing.
Nothing changed at all.
And most tournaments in the first 10 years, people played for like $50 or something first
Mhm.
place, and
Mhm.
people flew out to that, and they all did it for the love to the game.
Mhm.
And I think this is the number one. This is like the dream scenario, that the game is just so awesome that people just want, that they don't care about price pools and everything.
Mhm.
If you get that, that's like important for survival, obviously.
Mhm.
That's like such a huge plus point. But I think the very most important thing is that the game is awesome.
Yeah.
That's super important.
Yeah. Because even if you are, well, if the game is not enjoyable, you're not going to want to put in the hours, even if you are making some money. So I definitely get you there. Um, I don't know how. Well, I guess I'll ask this. What are your thoughts on kind of the in-game economy? I come from the Magic the Gathering online world where and Magic the Gathering card world where like the economy is such a huge part of the game. Do you think that that aspect of Artifact is gonna impact the popularity? A lot of people are complaining about it already.
Like how you utilize your resources,
No, I mean not the
or how much it costs.
yeah, like the fact that you can buy and sell cards on the market.
Yeah, it's because you a lot of people ask me that. I did like an artifact stream yesterday where just a kind of like an AMA kind of thing, and
Hmm.
most people, that's like the number one thing people say. It's like pay to win, pay to win. No, you don't really know how much it will cost and
Right.
how prices will be, how rare cards will be. You know, there's like rare cards and common cards, but how often do you get them from a pack? Nobody really knows,
Hmm.
and it's so hard to talk about it because you don't know. Like, do I have to spend $200 or $1,000 or
Hmm.
$10,000 to get all? Like the most extreme example was uh, Clash Royale. I don't know if you know
Yep.
Clash Royale.
Oh, I know Clash Royale.
That's the most freaking expensive game I ever played, and that's like the number one biggest game I ever played in my entire life.
Hmm.
And that's like the number one reason why I quit the game. If it's pay to win like that, oh my god, then Artifact will die 100%.
Hmm.
Like if you have to spend 20k
Yeah.
and need to be lucky,
Yeah.
20k and be lucky to get a good card.
Yep.
Like what the fuck? That's like what? But if you spend like $200 to get all cards, then I'm like, come on, bro. Like you're playing a card game. What do you expect? Like if you
Yeah.
come from Magic or like from Yu-Gi-Oh, like you are used to spending a ton of money
Yep.
to get cards, especially Hearthstone. I spent like more than 10k, I
Yeah.
believe, over the past 4 years just to get all cards on all servers.
Hmm.
So for me, I wouldn't be like shocked. But from what I've heard, it should actually be cheaper than Hearthstone,
Hmm.
and which is great. But like also like in Diablo 3, the real money auction house, I think the
Hmm.
original idea was great, but
Yeah.
it was like people hated it, just because like the rich people just bought all the best items,
Hmm.
so there was a problem. But I think the idea behind it is great. It's just like how you put it out there. I think it's great that if people, because there will be people making a living from this,
Hmm.
like just trading cards,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's like a bad thing. People
Hmm.
did that like in Pokemon TCG and Yu-Gi-Oh TCG. I know people from Hearthstone that actually made a living from just selling cards, and I don't think that's a
Really?
bad thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and nobody really knows how expensive it will
Hmm.
be. So if it's cheaper than Hearthstone, then that's awesome. Another thing is another what I'm not sure if this is like, I don't know if this is probably not even like official or whatever, but this is like not a big deal. It's just like how Steam works as well.
Hmm.
It's a huge difference if there will be free servers or just one server. So because if you're a competitive player,
Hmm.
you will need to play on all regions just
Hmm.
because of the competitive aspect.
Hmm.
And if you only have to buy all cards once, that's a huge difference already
Yeah.
to Hearthstone. In Hearthstone, you have to buy all collections on every account and every server from the scratch
Yeah.
always, and that's so expensive.
Hmm.
And I think in Artifact it will be only one servers, and it's just so much better in so many different ways.
Hmm.
But it's definitely cheaper, like 3 times cheaper by default. So I don't think it will be that bad. I don't know, but yeah, people are worried about that point the most, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I want to get your thoughts on this too, because when I have been streaming, not obviously playing Artifact, but talking about Artifact, people are always like, "Oh, this game's going to be pay to win." At least in Hearthstone, I can play for free, and it's like, yeah, but do you play for free and also have good decks? Like, are you a tournament player and play for free? Like, and if so, what are you doing with your life? Like, what, like physically, how is your time spent? What other things do you do besides grind Hearthstone on free to play? How can you possibly do it? Do you value your time so little that you like will spend thousands of hours grinding? I,
Hearthstone is 100% pay to win.
yeah.
In that regard. Like if Hearthstone is not pay to win, then nothing is pay to win. Like because they really also like you noticed this in the last couple of expansions, not just
Hmm.
that they raised the price on all the packs, it's just the rarity, the changed rarities.
Hmm.
They implemented so many more really bad legendaries in the
Hmm.
expansions
Hmm.
and epic cards, and those are like the rarest cards.
Yep.
And so you have to craft them and you get them. So basically, you get the good legendaries way less often just because there's more bad legendaries, and it's just so expensive. You just notice it. It's just so much more expensive. And they 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 had like adventure expansions with less cards, and
Hmm.
now they only have these 140 card expansions. So it's just more and more expensive. And they also changed the ratio between European packs prices and APAC prices. That basically you have to pay the same amount of euros as dollars, which is also like
Yeah,
30% more
that makes
expensive
no
in
sense.
Europe just by default. It's very expensive. And yeah, like you said, getting all Hearthstone cards free to play, this is just, especially with all every 3 months a new expansion coming out,
Hmm.
it just takes forever. And then that would be just for one server.
Yeah.
Imagine you want to play on 3 servers free to play. No way. No
Yeah,
way.
but Gaara, I saw a guy post on Reddit that he's free to play. He hit Legend free to play, so that means that
I did that
Hearthstone.
too.
Yeah.
Actually, I was the first player in the world who played on 2 servers, and I did rank 1 legend with a completely free to play account. Like I built the first face hunter deck, and I didn't have Leroy Jenkins. It was the only legendary card in my deck, and I made a new account, so I didn't
Uh-huh.
have the dust for it. I
Mhm.
disenchanted every other card
Mhm.
to craft the blues, and I played an Elven Archer, which is like a common card, and I
Mhm.
got to rank 1 legend with in the very first month I played on a second server, completely free to play. Yes, but like that's not the problem. But then I can't play any of the other decks, not even close, and
Yeah.
I can't play any other deck. And if this deck starts being bad, then yeah, what do I do?
Right.
Like, yeah, grind arena for like 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah, and also that just gives you a good ladder finish. Good luck playing in tournaments with one deck because that's just not how Hearthstone works.
Another thing on that free to play farm, like you get the most gold by playing arena,
Mhm.
but if you don't get an average of 7 wins in arena, you don't break even. So
Mhm.
basically, you need to be good and free to play,
Mhm.
a good player and free to play. Then you get cards and dust and gold.
Mhm.
If you're a bad free to play player, and the most people are bad free to play players,
Mhm.
you will not an average of 7 wins in arena. So how are you supposed to get the cards? You will not get them. You get 150 gold maximum per day because that's the cap on normal constructed.
Yeah.
This is for like 10 wins or something.
Mhm.
And 150 gold per day. That's all you get. And
Pack
like the
and a half.
quests,
Yeah. No, it's every time
good
someone,
luck.
yeah. That's what I'm gonna just start saying when people are like, but Blevins, but Gaara, I can play Hearthstone for free. Artifact, I have to pay $20. I'm just gonna start saying good luck. That's all you can say to them. Um,
$20, man, in 2018. People became so like, man, they're like all 12-year-olds, man. They're not used to like, I don't know, gaming at all.
well,
Like people just don't want to spend money. I don't know.
well, I think it's because
Like
everyone
even
already,
though they have like thousands of hours of free entertainment, like quote unquote free, almost free.
yeah,
Yeah, it is free. Like for $20, really? You go to the movies, to the cinema, and you pay like $20 as well nowadays. It's ridiculous for one
yeah,
movie.
yep. But
And
I,
you didn't drink anything, any Coke or any popcorn yet.
yeah.
It's like,
But but if you ask me to pay $20 for to be able to play Artifact, where you also get a starter deck and $20 worth of packs back immediately, that's it's too much. It's not free to play, man. Can't play it. It's not free to play. I could go on all day lambasting free to play people. Or it's not even lambasting free to play people because if you want to play free to play for fun, that's great. But when you're basing your argument of whether a game should be played or not on whether it's free to play, good luck is all. Is this what I'm going to start saying to people? Um, so we've talked a little bit about Artifact being popular, maybe possibly not being popular, or what what could make Artifact popular. Does it need to be a good streaming game to be a successful game? So, for example, Hearthstone, very good streaming game. A lot of the Hearthstone streamers get more viewers than some of the tournaments, depending on the level of the tournament. But you look at a game like Dota, I don't even know what the top Dota streamer. I couldn't even tell you who the top Dota streamer is, but Dota International Tournament gets like a bajillion people and has a huge prize pool. Does Artifact need to be a good streaming game to be a successful esport or a successful game overall?
that's a good question. Like, what is the definition of successful? Um, is Hearthstone successful? Like,
Probably.
like you
I mean,
said,
from
Hearthstone is a
the
good.
investors' perspective, it probably is. From
Is
Activision
it
investors'
though?
perspectives, I don't know. I don't know the
Not
numbers.
anymore. Not for a long time,
Yeah.
in my opinion. It was
Okay.
like I think the rating, like Hearthstone was like, when Hearthstone was like the third biggest in viewers, it
Hmm.
was still the 14th best to invest in terms of esports.
Okay.
So it was always pretty bad, just because of Blizzard. Like Blizzard didn't do anything for sponsors. Like
Hmm.
even at the World Championship, when a player from Cloud9, as an example, or Tempo Storm
Hmm.
played against each other, they didn't even put the logo on the stream.
Really?
Like yes,
Wow.
like, and at
That's
some point
brutal.
the players were not even allowed to wear a jersey. So like
Wow.
it was like at some point it was really bad. So and most tournaments the only recognition the sponsors got was the jersey
Hmm.
that you had on stream, and most of your games you don't even play on stream. So for any sponsor, it was just one of the word, like I said, like 14th or 15th
Sure.
best game, to invest in, even though it was like viewership wise the third or fourth biggest
Hmm.
like during its peak. So like you said, it's a great game for streaming, but right now the Hearthstone numbers are like going down like crazy. And so is it a successful game? So that basically answers the question immediately. Like it's a great game for streaming, but it's not doing well. So I guess it's not important. Uh, Counter Strike, like people don't really watch Counter Strike streamers either. It's not a
Hmm.
great game for streaming, but I think Counter Strike is very, very successful
Hmm.
in esports especially,
Hmm.
and like the teams are super well respected, huge fan bases. You can also see on Twitter, in
Hmm.
terms of Twitter followers,
Hmm.
all the Counter-Strike pros have an insane amount of following there.
Hmm.
And it's not really streamed, like the streamers are not really huge, but the
Hmm.
tournaments get a lot of views as well. But this is what people want to watch. It's just like the whole structure of how you build the game, right?
Hmm.
So if Artifact will be great to watch the Artifact tournaments, I think they will be, because a lot of super popular people are gonna play the game,
Hmm.
and people like following these people and watch these people, especially competitive tournaments. I don't think that would be too bad, because then people will just focus on watching these tournaments. It's just a different structure. Then it will be like similar to Counter Strike.
Hmm.
And like you said, the Dota World Championships, so many people watch that.
Hmm.
Like it gets at least like 300K plus viewers on
Hmm.
average. But during the year, like nobody kind of like cares. That's like the meme. Like
Hmm.
nobody cares about Dota 2 till World comes around, and then everyone cares about that.
Hmm.
So nobody really follows the qualifiers and whatnot. So that's bad. But these people, like, if you always have to do like the maths. If I, as a pro player, make so much money during these tournaments that I can easily live from that throughout
Hmm.
the year, then I don't really need like the stream exposure or the stream
Right.
income or whatever.
Hmm.
Just I need to be able to make enough money from these tournaments. And in Hearthstone, it's like so different. Like you make so little money from the tournaments
Hmm.
that you have to stream to
Hmm.
just self-sustain. And then when you have like, extra time, then you compete in tournaments.
Hmm.
So I I think Artifacts, yeah, will have like bigger prize pools, but I don't know, man. It's hard to say if a game will be good to stream before the game is even out.
Hmm.
And like people like to compare Artifact to Gwent as well, or Gwent was like so bad for streaming. But I feel like there was a way different vibe and way different hype before Gwent. Like
Hmm.
most people didn't care about Gwent, as sad as it is, but a lot of people, including myself, cared about Artifact
Hmm.
way before. I planned on playing Artifact 2 years ago
Hmm.
when I first heard about it, and it was like I shouldn't know about it, but I heard it
Hmm.
from like some behind the scenes information.
Hmm.
And like Valve making a card game, I was so hyped because
Hmm.
while Valve is, in my opinion, the best company in terms of esports games,
Hmm.
they really know what they're doing. Like especially Dota is so crazy. Like they have 100 heroes in Dota, or more than 100 heroes, and during TI, I think 95 or so were played during the
Wow.
the course of TI. So
Yep.
almost every single hero was played. It's just that's like shows how crazy balanced the game
Hmm.
is, and every pro player was talking only positive about like Valve and the game,
Hmm.
like all the teams. And I don't think they're like they signed some devil's contract to only talk positive about the game. And so this is great. And if you look at Counter Strike, like how the pro CS players, how they're living and how big CS is. I mean, I
Hmm.
experienced it real life. I went to like 50 dream hacks or so. And the very first dream hack in Hearthstone, the Hearthstone was bigger than Counter Strike.
Hmm.
And the Hearthstone booth in Sweden, or the area, was right next to the Counter Strike area.
Hmm.
And from DreamHack Summer to DreamHack Winter, the numbers of people that watched Counter Strike went up tenfold, 20-fold.
Really.
So Counter Strike was really, really small, and then it became insanely huge. Like there were so many people interested in Counter Strike and watching
Hmm.
Counter Strike. It was crazy, and I think Valve is just doing an amazing job in terms of esports,
Hmm.
like from a pro player perspective.
Hmm.
Like I don't know, the Valve games are not really known to be casual friendly. Dota 2, for instance, is really not casual friendly.
True.
Like you if you like like wake up one day and be like, oh, let's play a game of Dota 2, like let's have some fun, like people will be nice. No, 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 no. It's like It's super
Uh,
hardcore right from the get-go.
well,
So
I will say in that vein, yes, Dota 2 at a high level, very, very user friendly. But there's Dota does a lot of good things that if you are a casual player and you wanted to play, you could. There's a million different game modes you can play for one, and then I don't know how I played Dota 2 in beta and then took like multiple years off, and then when Artifact was released, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna start playing again. They put in like the pre-built like item builds that people like, not just the like the in-game ones, but like people like pro players can like make their item builds and like give you like little hints and stuff and tell you. Like that was great because for me it's like, well, I not only need to be mechanically good at the game, but I also need to have like a master's degree in like how to play this hero and what items to build and like all this stuff. And it's like they put in the actual game an interface to be able to be like, hey, buy this item, hey, take this skill or whatever. And like when you first start playing again, that's really great. If I want to do that in like Heroes of the Storm, I have to open up like another. I had to open up like another screen from like some website, and like having that in game and have it be like user made in game was really big for me for Dota. But
yeah, I think they implemented it in Horn like very late,
okay,
like right before it died,
yeah.
kind of. Maybe they took it from Dota. Probably did. A lot of these gaming companies kind of like
Well,
like
yeah.
stealing ideas from each other.
But okay, cool. So I want to, in the last few minutes we've got here, I want to talk about your experience with the game itself. Now, we've we know there's constructed, and we know that there's some form of limited that a lot of people have been calling draft, but at least from the public perspective, we don't know exactly what it is. But
Hmm.
which of these game modes do you prefer, constructed or draft?
I like both,
You like both? Okay.
and yeah,
Um, now for I guess I'll ask it
this is
for
the
one.
first time, by the way.
Yeah.
Usually I'm all constructed, but Artifact is so awesome. I like both modes.
That's really good to hear because I liked both in Magic, although I would say I preferred limited like draft and sealed in Magic just as from a fun perspective.
I,
Hearthstone Arena, it was garbage in my opinion for a long time compared to constructed.
mhm.
I only liked Arena when I first started playing Hearthstone and like in beta when like the constructed decks were not super fun and I didn't have the cards.
And I can talk a little bit about it at
Okay.
least. And for me, it's like for me, it's also important if the company behind it cares about the game mode. For example, like you mentioned, you could really feel that Blizzard didn't care about Arena.
Mhm.
Like they did nothing for Arena. There were
Yep.
no Arena tournaments,
Correct.
no Arena balance changes
Mhm.
for years,
Mhm.
and you have the same Arena rewards till this day
Yep.
from beta.
True.
Since beta, no changes. Like no, they didn't up it to 13 wins or 14 wins, whatever new reward system.
Yeah.
Nothing in 4 years. I know people that streamed Arena for 4 years that moved now to Constructed. They're like one of the top 5 Arena players just because he couldn't take it anymore. Like
Yeah.
he just didn't see any future. And in the limited format in Artifact, it really feels like Valve cares about every game mode equally,
Mhm.
and you don't know yet, like because we always assume, I don't know, because of other card games probably,
Mhm.
that constructed will be the go-to format
Mhm.
in tournaments, but I'm not so sure in Artifact,
Interesting.
because if you care about every game mode equally, it could be that the limited format will be the go-to format.
Mhm.
There's like no information about it, but since they care about it as well, it could easily be if it's like the more competitive game mode, if it
Mhm.
requires more skill. And another huge upside about limited is also that you don't need to have the cards
Right.
because it's limited format. So maybe it is better for casual players as
Mhm.
well, just to enable them to play tournaments in a like a limited
Mhm.
format than in constructed, that you don't feel this, oh, it's pay to win. I want to play competitive, but I don't have the cards. Like I have to craft all these super tier one decks.
Mhm.
I never thought about it, but the more I interact with Artifact and how the game is, I just realized like how genius. I don't know who the people are behind.
Mhm.
Like I know how genius Richard Garfield is, which
Mhm.
I mean I can talk about for like freaking days. but so many things are so genius in Artifact, and I think also like the outside thing, how they look at the game and what they want to do if the game is genius. And this was like recently I had this aha moment, like what if constructed is not the go-to format? And the people that play the game for way longer than me,
Mm-hmm.
they like the limited format
Mm-hmm.
also a lot. Some people like it even more than constructed,
Mm-hmm.
even though like Life Coach, for instance, he mentioned that in the podcast he did that he really liked the limited format more than
Mm-hmm.
constructed, and he's really known as a constructed player,
Yeah.
which is super interesting. And I don't know, like all the game modes are great, they feel fun and they're awesome. And like I said, it's what if constructed, like everyone, I think most people assume because of like
Mm-hmm.
all the TCGs, Pokemon TCG, Yu-Gi-Oh TCG, that you always assume constructed is the go-to format,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's how it always was,
Yeah.
right? But what if it's not? It could be.
Yeah. I would love it if it was like Magic, where you have constructed tournaments, you have limited tournaments, and then there's some tournaments that are split format where you have to bring your constructed deck and half of it is constructed and half of it is limited.
I think they will do it like that.
Yeah.
But the biggest question is what's the huge tournament gonna be?
Right.
Like the
What
one
is
million
the
dollar
1
tournament?
million? Yep.
Because you have to kind of choose a format for that. So
I would love it if it were at least partially limited. Even if it was full limited, I would be happy because I feel like I'm going to gravitate towards limited more than constructed. But
that's
uh,
actually very interesting that you say that, because some people mention that, because there's no information. It's like people
right,
speculating
I
that you
have
can
no
do it
idea.
actually partially. If you do
Hmm.
like a Swiss or something,
Hmm.
that you do like some rounds limited,
Yeah,
and then you transition into.
that's what they do. Though
Oh, they
they've
do it in Magic.
Magic Pro Tours are like that. So
Oh,
they
that's super
have
cool.
the Grand Prix, which would be like equivalent to like Dream Hacks or HCTs, kind of, except there's more of them. Those are generally single format, so it's like always going to be constructed, and like there's different types of constructed in Magic, obviously, because there's a million cards, but they could be limited. And like even limited could be different. So like in limited Grand Prix, it's sealed, which I don't know if that exists in Artifact. You don't need to comment on it. Which is like sealed is like you get in Magic, it would be 6 packs and you build your deck out of that. And then draft is you open up 3 packs and you pass them around with the people. That's day two. So if you play sealed for the first day, and then if you get have a good enough record to make day two for the Grand Prix, you do draft on day two, and then you do draft in the top 8. So the Artifact could do anything and everything. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do for that. But let's talk about I'll talk about constructed first. What are some of your favorite archetypes and colors and even revealed cards?
Yeah, I like the combination of red green right now the most.
Interesting. I don't think
And
I've heard anyone say red green yet.
yeah, which is cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Like that other people like different stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like playtesting a lot with very good players that I also know from Hearthstone,
Uh
and
huh.
I have like a practice group with. I mean, Strive Grow. He's playing the
He's
game, and
probably a
I'm playing
pretty
the game.
good practice partner to have.
Yeah, and we play test a lot against each other, and we push each other
Uh huh.
to like optimize decks. And this is why the game is so awesome, that we are able to push each other, like to improve the deck
Yeah.
constantly. Because in Artifact, like even with the reveal cards, you can see that uh, there you always feel like there's a card I can put in my deck
Mhm.
that helps me against stuff I'm struggling against
Mhm.
all the time, no matter what color you play and in what deck you play. It always feels like I have some tools, and you never had that like in Hearthstone, for
Mhm.
example. When there's something that beats you, usually you have to change the deck completely,
Mhm.
or there's no existing counterplay in the game at all. And in Artifact, there's like a lot of counterplay, which is super fun. So yeah, red green is what I like the most right now. This is like my
Mhm.
most optimized deck so far
For red green for constructed or for limited?
for constructed.
Okay. Do you also prefer red green and limited, or do you kind of keep it open?
I think in limited you need to be able to do the best out of all four colors. I think like to compete with the top players, you need to just be able to. You can't really choose what you like.
Right.
It's more like gotta go with all of them.
Hmm.
I think, yeah. So it's more like it's better to not like something.
Right. That's fair. Um, so even in well, so in limited, you can. So, like for instance, in Magic for Limited, I know I am generally like an aggressive player. So, like even though I might not always play red white or red blue or blue white, I generally am going to build a deck that's more aggressive. Where I have friends who are also very very good at Magic that are like never playing aggressive decks and always play control. Do you favor like a style of play in Artifact, whether it be we'll focus on limited here. Are you like more of a control player? Do you play more aggressively? Is it mid range? How do you generally build your decks, regardless of color?
I think it's more like about value. It's similar to Arena in Hearthstone,
Hmm.
because people will not have these optimized strategies,
Right.
and like they can't do like these combos or whatever.
Hmm.
So it's more about like there's a lot of these minions that are already revealed,
Hmm.
like for the colors, and these cards are like good in like a value based game.
Hmm.
So I like to do, yes, control, and like a lot of just value trading and
Hmm.
e- efficient play. So like cards with high value. So and then it doesn't really matter which color. And I think all colors are good. So
Hmm.
I don't think there's like a bad color in Artifact or anything like that.
That's good to hear because in different Magic sets, you can definitely have a worse color
Oh,
for limited.
especially in Hearthstone, there's really like
Yeah.
trash tier classes.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Now, we've heard talk on I believe it was the Artifaction podcast when they had Joel Larson on. There's some combo deck in Constructed that he said he did like 10,000 damage in a lane with. Have you seen this deck? Are you familiar with this deck?
I know what it is, but I've not faced it, or like it's more like a meme kind of
Okay.
strategy,
Are
whatever.
are the cards are the cards in the combo have all the cards been revealed yet, or are we still waiting to see like a piece of the combo that we're not sure of yet?
I mean, it has something to do with Kana, but I don't know if all the combo pieces are revealed yet.
Okay.
Like I would need to check it. So
But it has something to do with Kana and probably making a
yeah,
million
yeah,
hounds.
million Mahons.
Okay. I was just curious because like when I heard combo deck and artifact, I immediately was like, I need to play this. I really want to play this.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's you can make many different meme decks in that game.
awesome. Well, on that subject, is it like a meme in the sense that oh, this is cool that you can do, but it's actually not good, or do you think that combo as a strategy, maybe not that specific one, but combo as a strategy could be competitively viable in Artifact Constructed?
Oof, that's hard because Artifact is really, really complex. I play
Hmm.
with Strifeco a lot, and Strifeco really likes playing these really weird decks.
Hmm.
And it feels like all the decks he's playing against me, they're all viable, and
Hmm.
they have very different strategies. Uh, it's not really like combo. It's usually like different finishers and stuff.
Okay.
Like, but you do play like do some combos as well. I don't think that. Yeah, there's a lot of good combos for sure,
Hmm.
but they're not like 20 card or whatever.
Right. They're not like
Uh,
infinite combos that you win automatically with.
but I only have seen like a small percentage of like all the existing decks. There's like
Hmm.
so many decks. There's so many decks that are not even made yet. Like we're talking here like hundreds and thousands of decks for sure. So like I'm pretty sure they're also viable. You can make them viable.
Hmm.
The game just gives you enough tools to make them viable.
Hmm.
I don't think they're all just meme decks. Because you have also so many different heroes
Hmm.
that can support a strategy. Like you can use heroes for stalling, just to get into like a late game or
Hmm.
whatever, and you have like different board clears. You
Hmm.
have so many different mechanics that you can definitely make combos work for
Hmm.
sure. Like if you optimize them, but combo stuff usually takes longer to optimize.
Right.
So it might be that it takes like a month or 2 months before I have like a viable combo deck, not
Yeah.
just a meme combo deck.
That is what I will probably be working on once I get my hands on the game for sure. I always loved combo decks in Magic. Um, but last kind of question here before we get going, what are I guess what is your favorite hero and what is your favorite card?
My favorite
We'll go
hero
we'll go
is
with if it's not a revealed one, what's your favorite revealed hero?
like I don't wanna like say X is my favorite hero because he's just so many people have him as their favorite hero, so I want to change it to something I like. I mean, Omni Knight also probably some people said.
Hmm.
I guess Legionnaire. I go with Legionnaire. I think I haven't heard that one yet. Legionnaire is my favorite hero.
Which one?
And Legionnaire,
Oh,
Legion Commander.
Legion Commander. I'm like, I don't know who Legionnaire is. No,
Yeah,
Legion
Legion
Commander. Okay,
Commander.
cool. Yeah, I
He's
love.
he's he has very interesting passive ability, very good hero
Hmm.
card, but he has like weaker stats than a lot of the other red heroes.
Hmm.
So that's how you compensate it, and yeah, he's very good. And yeah, his hero card is probably my favorite card as well. No, I like. Let's go with. Oh man, I like Triumph, the finisher card, a
Oh,
lot.
yeah, yeah. Active or no? Is it Active Triumph? The 8 mana one that
Yeah,
gives
yeah,
every.
yeah. The
Yeah,
the, the red finisher card. I think
yeah.
this is from all the finisher cards like the coolest one.
Uh huh.
It's super cool because yeah, you can have it like on multiple heroes,
Hmm.
obviously. But so if you have 5 heroes in one lane, you would get it on 5 heroes, and if they're like spread, you would only get one hero.
Hmm.
So it has like a setup to it,
Hmm.
like multiple setups. Like you could like kill heroes on purpose and then respawn them in
Hmm.
like a lane, so you can let's say on 6 mana, that when the hero respawns, you get them in the same lane that
Hmm.
you hit with Triumph as many heroes as possible. And there's like super insane value because
Hmm.
it's like a finisher card and you hit a lot of heroes. And it gives red like siege damage, and red is like really bad at
Hmm.
siege damage, at tower damage.
Hmm.
And I think this is a very cool card.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Very interesting. Yeah, a lot of. I think it. Time of Triumph. I think is what the name of
Time
it.
of
Okay,
Triumph.
Time
Yeah.
of Triumph. Yeah, a lot of people have said that's a good one. Okay, very last question here. Before I let you go, is Meepo.
Oh,
Okay,
I,
go
I
ahead. Go
wanna
ahead.
go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanna go with another hero as well, like
Yeah, yeah.
Tidehunter, because he's
Tide Hunter.
underrated.
Yes. Okay.
Because it's a hero that I actually used to play the most.
Mm-hmm.
He has like only 2 attack, but he
Mm-hmm.
has the highest health pool from all
Mm-hmm.
the heroes. He had 18 health. That's
Mm-hmm.
like so much.
Yeah.
And he has a very good hero ability to
Mm-hmm.
stun like stuff in a
Yeah.
lane. So he's very good for stalling, like very good late game card.
Mm-hmm.
He has like an initiative hero card, and
Yep.
initiative is very important in the
Mm-hmm.
game. And but nobody really plays with Tidehunter. But it's
Interesting.
definitely a very strong hero card, a lot of good potential. But you
Mm-hmm.
need to find like the right strategy when you want to play this hero in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super cool. It's like exciting to make like decks with this card. So this okay, I go with Tidehunter as my favorite hero.
Okay. Yeah,
So
Tidehunter was
let's
one
do
of,
it.
well, I mean, when we first saw him as the pleb public, we were like, "Oh man, what is this get initiative thing?" Oh man, I didn't know that was going to exist in the game, so that was really cool. He also has a million health, which is awesome. And his ability is just like you put a blink dagger on him, jump around and just crash the lane. It's just like Dota. Um, but the last question I wanted to ask, okay, there's been a lot of discussion in my inner circles about Meepo. Do you, is Meepo good? Is Meepo bad? Or is Meepo just something else entirely? Meepo is the one. Is
Yeah, I
the
know
guy?
what
Oh,
Meepo
okay.
is.
He's been revealed.
I was thinking about like going with no comment. It's like apparently you can do like broken stuff with him, but I
Really?
haven't played too much against Meepo.
Hmm.
Uh, like man, like I played actually almost nothing at all against Meepo. Maybe it's hard to say yet. I like you need to play like
Hmm.
it's like there's like these heroes exist that are good, but there's so many decks and so many viable cards and
Hmm.
everything that you just don't have enough time. Like I haven't played
Hmm.
the game so long yet. Like I'm playing for 2 weeks now,
Hmm.
and there's so much stuff, untested stuff, and
Hmm.
it will take years. I can't say if it's just meme or if it's actually good, but like I played him a little bit,
Uh-huh.
but he has like so little health.
Yeah.
Like 5/5 is really little in this
Hmm.
game, but like I changed my minds on cards daily.
Hmm.
Like 2 weeks ago, I considered some cards trash, which I now consider broken. Like really, it's
What
crazy. Like
What's
how
an
it gets.
example of a card like that where
Uh,
you thought it was trash and then you thought
it's
it
the
was
fact
broken?
silence
Okay.
or initiative. As a new player, you're like silence is. I think every new player will go through that phase. Like silence is bad, silence. You pay like 4 or 5 mana for silence. Are you kidding me? Does nothing, just silence. It's bad.
Hmm.
And then initiative, like I don't care about initiative,
Hmm.
but the better you get, and then you start realizing, wow, a silence can be game winning.
Hmm.
And then once you are good enough to utilize that, and then you value these cards highly.
Hmm.
And the same with initiative. So you completely change your mind on stuff like that. And I think as a new player, you will also not appreciate blue as a color, just
Hmm.
because they all have like super weak stats.
Hmm.
But as soon as you become a good player, you know how to position minions
Hmm.
and where to put them and to deploy them,
Hmm.
and then you start utilizing the blue cards. Then you're like, wow, blue is actually pretty fun and pretty sick. Um, and then you realize that the game is actually really balanced and
Hmm.
that every color is good, and it's just so much fun to play because the colors feel very different, and you do all these different color combinations as well
Hmm.
to support the weakness of a different color. So yeah, Meepo can be good. I wouldn't be surprised, but like I didn't like him because of the low health, but
Hmm.
it doesn't really matter that much. So
Interesting.
it could
Interesting.
be good. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Not
That gives me hope to build my Meepo combo deck somehow. And I will say that most people who come from Magic just automatically know that blue is probably going to be broken in some form or another. That's just how it
Yeah,
always ends up
yeah,
being.
yeah.
That's how it
It
always.
it like Strife Pro likes playing blue a
Hmm.
lot, and it makes the games super difficult.
Hmm.
But since I'm also good, so like we really push each other. It's like the mind games. You have to think like 5 turns ahead all the
Yeah.
time to because you know the opponent will do this crazy stuff,
Hmm.
and if I let that happen, then I will lose the game. And same goes for him. And this is why the fight for initiative is gonna be is so important,
Hmm.
and it's so difficult. And there's some blue cards there where just having a blue hero
Hmm.
is all you need, and Meepo gives you like just a blue hero. So maybe
True.
I wouldn't be surprised if Meepo is a good card, just to have like the blue hero available,
Yeah.
just
The,
to be able to cast these
the,
spells.
yeah, for sure. Definitely looking forward to Meepo. But that's all I've got for you, Gara. I really appreciate you taking the time to do the interview here. The floor is yours if you want to shout out anything or any last comments. Go ahead.
Um, Follow me on Twitch, Twitch TV/Garbage Shaman. I will be streaming probably Artifact as soon as it's able to stream. Nobody
Hmm.
knows yet. So a lot of people ask, like, when
Hmm.
is open beta? When can you stream it? Nobody knows. There's like
Hmm.
no statement from Valve yet. Apparently, we will get some information regarding that next week, hopefully. They said in October it will be open beta.
Hmm.
My guess, my random guess is around middle of October
Hmm.
because I think they would have announced something already
Hmm.
if it would be early October, like some sort of information. So
Hmm.
my guess is around 14th. I don't think they would be that BM and make it like end of October.
Ugh.
Like
Yeah.
they would be pretty BM saying like open beta is October and then it's like 28th of October.
Yeah.
That's really BM. But so yeah, shout out to that. I love the game a lot. Like I really like it. And if you really follow the feedback of a lot of like known players and streamers,
Hmm.
I've not seen anyone talk bad about Artifact or say anything bad
Hmm.
who's playing the game currently. So you guys can really look forward to it. And
Hmm.
yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, Gara, thanks again so much for being on here. But for Gara, I am the Blevins. Thank you for listening. Be sure to check out heroesofartifact.com for all of the stuff you're going to need for Artifact. Make sure you check out Gara. I'll have any links and stuff for him in the description below. But until next time, we'll see you. Bye bye.
Peace.